Hello, this is Suzanne Ducharme, pediatric speech language pathologist and author of the newly published book Childhood Speech and Language Disorders. Welcome to this video series that looks at each chapter of the book and provides a little bit of an overview of each chapter of the book. Today's topic is Chapter 6, an in-depth discussion of language disorders. This is another one of the longest chapters in the book. There is a lot of content here in this chapter that really will help you have a solid knowledge base about what it means for your child to have a language disorder. And one of the primary pieces of this chapter is an explanation of one way to sort of think about language, and that is the concept of content, form, and use. Content being the meaning of what we communicate, form being the way that we communicate it, and that can be anything from the modality, like spoken language versus written language, or it can also mean the form that we use to communicate, so the syntax and the grammar and those kinds of things. And then use would be the social functions for why we communicate. And so there's a quite lengthy discussion about these three different areas of language and how they relate to development and disorder, how they can be disordered. There is more discussion about how language skills are evaluated and how we use that information as a speech pathologist to develop a treatment plan and how we provide intervention for kids who have a range of different language disorders, because as you might imagine, you can have a very mild disorder where you might be a late talker. Kids who just need a little bit more support at the beginning and then sort of take off and do great, all the way through a child who has a more moderate language disorder and most likely also has some speech issues or some processing issues, some sensory challenges, maybe has some multidisciplinary needs, all the way up to the kids who are much more neurologically impaired and have a much harder time establishing their language system and may need what we would call augmentative and alternative communication, which could be, signs, use of picture systems or voice output devices. There's also some brief consideration of two special populations in this chapter, one being children who are on the autism spectrum disorder, and the other is premature infants. I have worked in the NICU for a time, primarily doing swallowing and feeding development at that time, but it's also the beginning of social emotional development and pre-communication. And a lot of times, even preemies who do relatively well medically are at risk for cognitive delays and speech and language challenges, including social communication issues. So this particular chapter of the book will give you lots of information about how language is assessed and how it's treated and what are some of the special considerations for those populations. So if you are interested in purchasing the book, you can click on the link below to order the book directly from Amazon or from the publisher, Rowman and Littlefield. If you choose to order from the publisher, you are entitled as a member of my community to a generous 30% discount. I hope you'll take advantage of that. You can also sign up below to join my community and get more updates, videos, information. And also you can send me a question directly if you have a particular question about your child or about something going on in their intervention plan. If you just want another opinion, I would be happy to answer questions as best I can. So feel free to take advantage of all of those things. I am so grateful that you've joined me for this video series, and I hope you'll check out all the other chapter overviews as well. Thanks.